A very good morning to all of you. I firstly welcome all the participants here to this two-day national conference on statutory bank audits. I hope it will be a wonderful session. We have our distinguished speakers here. We have 4 important technical sessions today, and the first being smart planning and execution. Abraham Lincoln once said, "Give me 6 hours to chop down a tree, and I'll spend 4 hours on probably sharpening the axe." So that is smart planning. And to enlighten us smartly again on this technical topic, we have with us our learned faculty, CA Anil Saxena from Kanpur. I'm privileged to introduce him today. CA Anil Saxena is the founder and senior partner at Messrs. Agrawal and Saxena. He has authored a book on bank audit, which was published by Taxman. He has a rich experience as a central statutory auditor in various public sector banks, private banks, and regional rural banks. He has a CEO of experience in various types of bank audits as well. He has been an active speaker on bank audits at various forums. Well, with this short introduction, I request CA Bishan Shah to offer a memento to our learned faculty. Well, with this short, brief introduction and not wanting to waste any further time, I would like to now request C. Anil Saxena, learned faculty, to enlighten us on this topic with his words of wisdom. Happy learning to all of you. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Coordinator Dheeraj Kakaji, Bishan Shah, who was there on the with me. My friend Hitesh, I think he's one person we discuss literally everything, and at any time, jab bhi mauka milta hai, I think we discuss whatever issue comes to us. Sunil Sanghvi ji, the chairman, Nirav Agarwal ji, the vice chairman, Mr. Shah, the secretary, others, senior members. I think it's a wonderful opportunity for me. I'm coming for the first time to Ahmedabad, courtesy again Hitesh bhai. Our topic ऐसा दिया है कि I think smart planning, and in fact I think I should say it is smart planning and smart execution also. So planning, of course, ऐसी चीज़ है जो I think in across all the sessions you would get portions of smart planning in that. But then what I'll try to do is based on the experience I have, I'll try and tell you which are the departments where you need to be aware of, so that whatever audit we do, whenever it is allotted, it is good and as per the regulatory norms. Also, I don't know whether I should be saying this, but I passed out in 1984, which is, probably many of you would not have been born. That was a time when, our council members were something like Hitesh bhai is, very, very professionally competent. I mean, we just used to have the council members coming to us, speaking on topics. So it's really a wonderful experience for me to see Hitesh bhai, go across and speak. And of course, his experience at the grassroots level is wonderful. So, obviously, based on his experience across banks. So I think we should have members with grassroots experience going across, and I think it becomes easy for the other members also and branches to do this. So today, I think, I have a total time of 90 minutes, and so I think probably the first time we're absolutely on time. Generally, branches, jahan bhi jate hain, 10, 15 means at least 11, but I think I need to congratulate the organizing committee here for being so much on time. And of course, the wonderful audience, itne sare aap log hain, expecting that you may probably get a bank branch audit soon. And I really, from the core of my heart, wish that, all of you do get one. Like Hitesh Bhai said, I think, there is, from this year, it has been left on the banks to choose the percentage of advances which they need to cover. But I think, last time when I was in Bombay addressing, we had the EDs of Bank of India, SBI and Union Bank. And I think at least two of the EDs said that, we do not have any intention of decreasing the percentage of advances covered. So probably, I think we'll continue to get at least 2 branches. This is a disclaimer, and the agenda, it's a very short one, so just about smart planning and introduction. Now, before we actually start, I think, we need to get a picture of what exactly is the status in the banks as such. If you see that, over a period of time, the gross NPA, the net NPA, everything has been becoming rosy. So, generally, as one starts to get a feeling that, I don't have to. When probably 2018, when I was doing a central audit, that was a time when, the number of frauds which were being declared, the NPAs, there was so much evergreening, so much hidden NPAs that as an auditor, one was always, very disturbed. In spite of all the efforts, could it be that, we missed out something? And then I think, in a bank audit, one needs to remember that this is an audit which will be done again. आप जैसे tax audit करते हैं, तो after tax audit or a company audit, normally, that is it, you sign off, it goes to the income tax department. Generally, that is the end of it. But when you're doing a controller audit, a CAG audit or a bank audit, please remember that there is another audit which is going to come after this. So there's a regulatory body which is going to audit this, which is the Reserve Bank of India. And Reserve Bank of India, probably 15 years back when, you were not in the CBS mode, it was, they used to visit the branches and probably select some branches. Wahan they used to do the AFI, which is the inspection, and then divergence batate the. But now they sit down in the head office, draw all the data, and then even for a loan, jaise abhi Hitesh bhai keh rahe the, 50,000 ka bhi agar loan hoga, even that they are able to give you the divergence. And the risk of bank audit is, bank branch audit is, that the Reserve Bank may still come to you and tell you that, this classification which you made of the NPA is incorrect. So that is one thing we need to be careful about. That is why a decreasing gross NPA ratio across March 22, September 2023, thoda sa comfort milna chahiye, but in spite of that, as an auditor, professional skepticism jaruri hai. And we need to look at every advance as if there is some evergreening done. And that is something which once you get into the IRAC norms and otherwise also planning, you will realize that in spite of all the system controls, there are various methods by which banks are still able to evergreen and probably do some things where the actual NPA status is not reflected. Now, this is the PCR, the provision coverage ratio, which is generally at 70%, but now अगर आप सभी banks में देखें, if you see, private banks, the public sector banks, foreign banks, and all scheduled commercial banks, everywhere the position is comfortable. The growth in SMAs and NPAs also, if you see September 23 is going down. So the, SMAs, I'll let you know, as also the IREC norm, I think, the session person will explain to you, as also the NPAs. So the growth is going down. So there's a general comfort which is coming into all of us as auditors. अगर आप frauds देखें, because see, frauds is something once it is declared, whether you're a concurrent auditor or a central auditor or a statutory auditor, if the branch you've done fraud has been declared subsequently, the first thing, whether you're the auditor of the company or you're the branch auditor of the bank you did, and you are not able to find out whether there was a fraud there, the first person who's pulled up is always, unfortunately, the branch auditor or the company auditor. So here, if you see the value across 2020-21 to the 2023, when the data is available on the RBI site, the value is decreasing, but the numbers are going up. So, in 2020-21, the value of each fraud was huge. In fact, 2018 में अगर आप जाएंगे तो probably the value of frauds was much higher. But now the numbers, if you see, is increasing. So, one has to be careful about, possible potential frauds. There also I'll try to, indicate to you as to how we can find out practically that, whether there is a potential fraud, underlying fraud or not. Now, just 2 slides that, what are the news which will impact the bank branch audits. The first thing is, very recently, you would have read that there has been a 17% wage revision, right? Now, obviously, this would not come out. I've never seen that, banks give these significant accounting policies to the branch auditors. So you would not know that 23-24 mein. I think, I'll circulate this PowerPoint presentation. So, if you actually start clicking photos, you'll not be able to listen to me. And another thing before, I move further, कोई भी अगर किसी भी, although I think Hitesh bhai and the chairman said that, the question answers we can have in the last 15 minutes. I think I would prefer if relevant questions are asked during the course of my deliberation, because, if I'm at slide 1 and the question is at slide 66, the relevance may be lost. So this 17% wage revision, friends, as a branch auditor, I would advise you that, either qualify it as something which has to be considered at the head office level, because there would be a direct impact. The impact of wage revision is from 1st of November 22. So obviously, this should come in in your report under SA 700 to 706. Another very important, I think, people would have realized that, IIFL ke baad, even the public sector banks, the Ministry of Finance, on 27th of February 2024, they've asked all public sector banks to review 100% of the gold loans which have been sanctioned or disbursed after 1st January 22. तो ये जहाँ भी आप जाएं, wherever you go, if there are gold loans, please look at it, because gold का rate over a period of time, because it has increased so much, what banks have been doing, in fact IIFL में क्या हुआ है, they found that nearly 60 to 70% of the loans which were there, जो loan to value LTV जो 75% का जो rule है, that was not being met. I think 67% was the figure which initially came out, the RBI said. So what we as branch auditors, wherever we go, what we need to do is that, we need to, agar gold loan hai, we need to ensure this. The Department of Financial Services has asked the PSU banks to assess the collateral value. Obviously, that will be based on the valuation which is there, not something we can do. Analyze collection charges, वो हम लोग कर सकते हैं. But most importantly is the third part, जो मैंने highlight भी करा है और red में करा है, check for evergreening. क्या होता है कि now let us say the gold loan is due after 1 year, he is not able to pay the interest, there is a top-up loan which is given. And this is what they've been doing over the past 2 to 3 years. In fact, IFL में भी यही हो रहा था, banks also have, in fact, State Bank जिसमें हितेश भाई पहले auditor थे, that has the largest value of gold loans which have been given. I think I have heard around 32,000 crores gold loans हैं State Bank में. And after that, the next figure is, drastically low. Punjab National Bank is around 6,200 odd crores. So evergreening जरूर देखिएगा, अगर top-up loan हुआ है, and top-up loan would have happened just before it is due. So that is a typical case of evergreening. The borrower is not able to pay. What do? The bank gives a loan. Okay, it becomes a performing from a non-performing asset. Next, this is another auditing challenge which the banks have started feeling, and I think hum logon ko and also the institute, since there are regional council members and also central council members bhi aapke yahan se hain. I think there is a growing mismatch of the IT skill gap which the banks are moving and us. We are still at, without any disrespect to our members, we are still at the tally stage, the SAP stage, and not at the coding stage. Whereas banks have gone to, artificial intelligence, blockchain technologies, even, recently they have invested very heavily in technology, robotics mein chale gaye. They have digital currency, of course, with the RBI declared, and then there are these new age auditing trends which they are following. So, ye cheez, I think, institute has to try and fill the gap between what we as auditors can do and what the, because, when you go to a branch, aapne dekha hoga, there are so many loans which are given on the platforms, digital platforms. How are we going to check it? As auditors, are we competent to do that? Across India, across the world, he applies through the app and it is sanctioned. Now, where is the, how do I find out, who is the sanctioning authority, where is the loan application, what is the security, what is the documentation, etc. So there, this IT skill gap is something which we need to, as auditors, I think even the institute needs to make some effort where the skill gap is reduced. Of course, early warning signals of fraud, this is very important. I think, I'll update you on this. And I think something to be happy about, which Hitesh Bhai has also said, there are no changes in the RBI Master Circular relating to the IRAC norms, although there is this RBI circular which came out in the 1st of April 2023, but there are no changes vis-a-vis 22-23. So exactly same hai. And in fact, agar aap IRAC norms dekhen, over a period of last so many years, except for minor changes which have happened, primarily, it has remained same. So a person who's been doing bank branch audits, he should be able to do the same thing, even now without any further, too much effort. We'll start with the planning part and then I'll take up the execution part, and like I said, I'll be open to any question. Please feel free to ask questions. Don't think that, this is a deliberation, one-sided deliberation. Let's look at it more like a workshop. Any problem which you faced in your branch, which you've done, or which you think, what I'm suggesting is not practical, please feel free to it. Quick look at what, one does in the bank. I sign the balance sheet, profit loss, I sign whole lot of statements, certificates, LFAR, advances, and tax audit. So this is broadly Jojo things I have to do, right? Again, a quick walkthrough. I receive my appointment letter, done. I then confirm my disqualifications. Agar if I'm disqualified because I've taken a debt or any of my partners has taken a debt, I will not accept that. For this, just as a documentation, a quick aapko advice karunga. If you have a WhatsApp group amongst your partners, please, immediately send a message that whether any of the partners or their relatives, etc., as per the appointment letter, has taken a loan. If so, kindly confirm, or else send an email to everyone. Then similarly, as per SQC 1 also, which is the mother of standards of auditing, and also as per the requirement of the bank, I need to give a confirmation regarding indebtedness, independence, fidelity, and this thing. Even for this, I would advise you that, please get a confirmation from all the partners, a common letter, send it across to them, and ensure that, there is no, they're all independent, and of course, with respect to fidelity and secrecy. NOC letter from the previous auditor, with respect to bank, it is not necessary that you wait for the NOC to come. Issue the NOC and then start the acceptance, etc. It is, this is one where the institute is given an exception that you send the NOC, and generally aajkal you can send it on email, you get it, or even he's a fellow member, you can ring up and ask him. And of course, dispatch the engagement letter. Now, acceptance letter is given by the bank, the engagement letter is as per the institute. Generally, we only send the acceptance letter. That does not take care of the documentation requirement of SA 210. I would advise you that, since the appointing authority is the general manager or somebody and he will not sign it, but financial statements ka responsibility is of the branch. So get the engagement letters signed as per SA 210 by the branches. So if you are doing 2 branches, get 2 engagement letters signed by him. Then I think Hitesh Bhai also touched upon this, the back office preparation. This is the most important. I would always say if you are spending 100 hours in a branch audit, of course, come hai. If I am spending 1,000 hours, I should spend 400 hours in planning for that. If I do not do that, 600 hours I'll waste. I'll waste in moving around, having lunch, having tea. And Hitesh Bhai said, 4 days. I would say take time which you feel satisfies your professional requirements. If you feel that, a branch requires 7 man days, do it, but then don't work for 6 hours. Work for at least 12 to 14 hours. Have the correct number of audit team members, but complete whatever is required of you. So the back office preparation is absolutely necessary when you plan within yourself. What do we do? I'll take that up later. After acceptance and engagement letter, which you sign in this thing, send an inquiry letter. If you have a draft of this, it is fine. Agar aapke yahan circulate hota hai, or else I can, send a draft of all of them to the branch, and then they can circulate it to the members. The team constitution has to be as per the branch size. Agar aapki choti branch hai, even then nothing less than 3 people, 1 partner, 2 people. Do not do a branch where only 3 unqualified assistants are going. Because let me tell you that a bank, a financial sector is one sector where even after qualifying in 1984, I'm still learning. And imagine an article assistant who's probably in his second year, third year, he would not be aware of anything which I think Hitesh Bhai just told you about. He would not be aware of anything. He would not be aware of the accounting, etc. So typical medium level branch, one more if the branch is member A, which is a partner, he needs to take care of the advances, the RAG and the LFR together. Member B, a senior person, balance sheet, profit loss and all this thing, and member C, you can ask him to do the tax audit if tax audit is being done by the branch auditor, or else you can ask him to do the others. Do not sign the audit report without the SA 580 management representation letter. There are many branch managers who say, sir, we are not authorized to sign the management representation letter, and it's not given in the appointment letter. I have gone to the extent of refusing to sign the audit report unless the management signs the management representation letter. I'll request all of you to go by that. That is one big document I have, because आपको verbal confirmation everybody will give, nobody will give to you a confirmation in writing. You ask him, has there been a fraud during the last year? Verbally he will say yes, no. और जैसे आप MRL में you put it in your MRL that there is no fraud during the last year, immediately you will say, no sir, there was a fraud of 1.25 lakhs. So that is something you need to get it signed. 12, this is the most important, which I think all of us sometimes miss out on. Sign only those statements for which you have been appointed as per the appointment letter, and number 2, where I have exchanged the MRL. Sorry, the engagement letter, SA 210. So SA 210 and the acceptance describes, now let us say I have been appointed to sign 6 certificates which are there in the appointment letter. Do not sign the 7th, which the branch manager would ask you to sign when you are just moving out of the branch. Generally hota hai ki sir, this certificate is left, the export certificate, export turnover. I am only paid for the certificates which are there in my appointment letter, and for which I have signed the engagement letter as per 210. So restrict your signatures only to whatever is there in the appointment letter. And of course ensure that the audit report which you are signing is as per the SA 700 format. There are many banks, I have seen where the format is not as per 700 or 705 or 706. If that be the case, you can issue a supplementary report which is as per the standard on auditing. Now, what do you do in the pre-audit meeting, planning meeting mein jo aapko bataya? Number 1, the appointment letter has to be read thoroughly from end to end by all the team members. Like I said, which statements to be signed, which certificates to sign, pura document ho raha hai. Also how many. If I need to sign 3 copies, I need to actually in my audit program write down that 3 are to be signed. Bank's closing instructions, I think, generally they do not come with the appointment. Please ask the bank or the regional office to share with you. These are closing instructions which are given, number 1, by the bank to the branch auditors. Branch auditors ko generally it is there in the appointment letter. But there are also closing instructions which are given by the bank to the branches. So please take a copy of that because they'll have more detailed instructions. Then there are central auditor instructions which are given to the branch auditors. I think, please ensure that, we comply with everything to this. And also if your branch, since 2021, there's a new report which, the internal financial control report which you sign in the company audits, that's also required to be signed at the branch level. But not all branches are to be signed. If your branch is selected for signing the internal financial control report, please ensure that, the risk control matrix, if you read the guidance note 2024 or the risk control matrix which has come from the central auditor, is completed and documented. There are a number of RBI master directions, there are a number of RBI circulars, there are press releases, there are FAQs. If you go to rbi.org.in, everything which is relevant to this, you have to download and read them. So that is why I said if you're spending 1,000 hours, unless you spend 400 hours understanding those circulars, you will miss out a lot of things which the regulatory body RBI, your central auditor and the branch manager wants you to do. Last but not the least, identify all the staff members with the skill sets. You may like a person, you may, a particular resource in your firm may have good auditing knowledge with respect to a company, but he may not actually be good in a bank audit. So identify them and only take those who have the required skill sets. Now, what are the consequential risks? If I do not do the first part, the planning, what are the consequential risks? Ye zaruri hai because before obviously incorrect attestation se kya hoga? I will not comply with the RBI master direction, circulars, FAQs, etc. The third part, which is in the red, is most important. I will carry a risk of getting a letter from the Reserve Bank of India. I don't know if any of you have got it, that, there are many members, across regional councils who've got letters from the Reserve Bank about why did they not qualify a particular account as an NPA, whereas as per the Reserve Bank, it was an NPA. Very serious cases, there are cases where if, the reply is not satisfactory, these are also subsequently escalated to the disciplinary committee of the institute. So, this is the major risk. Like I said, this is something where I audit a branch and then it gets re-audited by the regulator, which is very important. And then, of course, the non-identification of control risk weaknesses, which I think if you remember the new format of LFAR, now we have the transactional and the process audit, which one needs to do. Your audit procedures, they need to comply with, I think, so this will give you an idea how much do we need to actually study before getting into a bank branch audit. SQC1, the institute, if you do not document, they will say you've not done it. So, documentation has to be important. Important essays have to be there. The guidance note and bank audit 2024, I think it has around 800 pages. So if you start reading it today, probably it will take you 20 days. Technical standards, accounting standards. Luckily, India sabhi banks mein nahi hai, so abhi we are still in accounting standards. Then requirement of peer review. Now peer review is there everywhere. So if you do not document a bank branch audit, you may get named there. And then RBI regulations, which is huge. So isliye, I think, this has to be. So people who are doing concurrent audit, I think it becomes easier for them to do a bank branch audit than those who just do bank branch audit. See, this is a quick summary of, which are the standards on auditing which are important. I have not, please do not take this as a theoretical process. This is very, very practical. 210 engagement letter, I told you it is very important. Documentation across, bahut zaruri hai. Frauds, 240. External confirmation is also important. I think, I will advise all of you, I do it, I've been doing it since 10 years. Balance confirmation ke liye, as soon as I get the appointment letter, I ask the bank branch manager to send me the email IDs and the balances of the top 20 advances and the top 20 depositors, or randomly also I select some, and then I send mails before I actually visit the branch. So if you talk to the branch manager, most of the information you can get from there. Written representation, like I said, SA 580 MRL, do not sign your audit report without the MRL. Then sampling audit reports, these are normal. I'll leave this with you. Also, other than that, I think, the LFAR has become a big audit checklist. If you've not drafted an audit program for yourself, the LFAR can be a big audit checklist by itself. Most of the things like, when we go into the planning and execution, you'll realize that the LFAR as such gives you everything which you need to do. So if you go through all the questions there, uske answers mein, you will be covering around 60 to 70% of them. In fact, more of the expectation. Sorry. Now let's get on to the practical application. I mean, this was a little theoretical. Now, these are two important documents which, for me, I've been documenting since probably, more than 20 years. And it has saved me so many times, in spite of getting, letters from the Reserve Bank for possible divergence, etc. So I think I'll advise you to, also, if you're not already doing it, do this. Now, once you're through with the review of the advances, obviously from the point of view of identifying IRAC norms, so what happens is, now, after 2 days, now let's say you reviewed 100 accounts review karne. Is English okay or a mix of Hindi and English okay? Yeah. Hindi is also okay? Because I don't know Gujarati, sorry. Right. So, once you've completed everything, then you have two types of accounts, right? Ek wo wala account hoga where, you are sure that this has to be classified as an NPA. And the second is, you are still under discussion. You discuss with the branch manager, or branch manager ke discussion ke baad, out of 20 accounts, let us say 5 accounts aise hote hain where both of you agree that this was a wrong observation, I remove it, I am left with 15. 5 accounts are those where, based on the information by the branch manager, I agree that, based on certain further documents, that this should not be qualified as a NPA. And 10 accounts, both of us agree that, this is a NPA. So what I would suggest is those 15 accounts, either download the statement of account for the past 6 months and keep it with you, or take a printout. Obviously, agar NPA hoga, to the length of the statement will be very small. Take a printout of all those 15 accounts. Those accounts which you've classified as MOC, write down you've classified as substandard, doubtful, based on security, etc. And document the specific reason why you're classifying that account as a NPA. So this is okay. Now, most important is, also, jo account you did not qualify as an NPA, where you did not issue an MOC, write down and document the reason why you did not classify that account as an NPA. So those are accounts which will save you from subsequent inquiries. 2 or 3 times this is what happened. I did not, based on, various documents I took, the discussions I had with the management, I did not classify some, as a central auditor, some large accounts as an NPA. And subsequently, jab RBI ka inspection hua, they thought that this should have been an NPA. They wrote to me. And I was able to reply, because see, unfortunately, the letter comes to you after probably 6 months or 1 year. When your memory is out, the branch manager is transferred, and there is nobody you can call. So if you do not have a branch statement with you, so you can't do anything. But if you have that statement of account, if you have the reasons, your reply becomes very easy. In fact, बहुत सारे members मेरे पास, when they got this letter, they've come to me I've tried to help them, and this is the problem they've faced. They do not have a statement of account. They call up the branch manager. He said, "Ki sahab, I'm no longer in that branch." So getting that statement of account becomes a job. And then secondly, memory. You don't remember why you did not classify that account as NNP. So these are two important documents which I would always recommend to you that, please take a printout. See, the printouts may be voluminous. If you have 25 such accounts, but you may have to take a printout of those 25 accounts. You may also have to take a copy of the sanction. You may have to take a copy of the stock statements, etc., etc. But then all these accounts have to be separately documented and written, and of course done by the senior the partner who's gone there. Because the person who's senior manager who's gone with there, he will never be able to understand the reason why an account is being classified as an NPA, not being classified. So these are two important documents which can be the saving lifeline for all of you. Then another planning, this thing which I follow and I recommend all of you, please create your own pre-sign-off checklist as a partner. What do you want to ensure? Because see, there are 3 members who have gone with you. They are doing their own jobs. You are reviewing that. But some things you need to review before you sign that audit report and the certificates, etc. when you actually generate the UDIN. So, I'll share with you the pre-sign-off document, the checklist I have made to the branch, but some things I'll discuss with you. See, when it comes to fraud, the RBI Master Direction on Frauds gives a list of around 42 early warning signals. So whoever is doing the advances, he has to keep a copy of those 42 or 43 early warning signals. It says that, there are regular overdrawings, regular, it has to be like a Bible to you, which you keep when you're doing the advances. So if there are too many early warning signals there, what the RBI says is that it's, you have to consider that as a possibility of a fraud or a potential NPA. So whether advances have been reviewed and mapped with the early warning signals is listed in Annexure 2 to the Master Direction. This has to be one of the important checklists for us. And then, now, early warning signals, if there are few, put it in the LFAR. And if there are many early warning signals, then look at that account as if you're doing a forensic and try to find out whether there is actually an underlying fraud in that. Do I need to classify this account as an NPA? Is it actually performing? Are there evergreening techniques? So this is something we needs to this thing. So please keep a copy of those 43 early warning signals, take a printout and keep it like a reference to your, under your table you have those GST, the income tax and other MCA, this thing. Similarly, those 43 EWS should be there with you when you do it. Similar to when you're doing agriculture advances, the Annexure 2 should be there with you always. Otherwise, you'll probably do it. Then comes the early warning signal. The next step which comes out is the red flagged account. Now, red flagged account, the RBI talks of only 50 crores and above. Obviously, not many of us would be doing branches of that. But every bank also has a system of red flagging smaller accounts also. So why I'm talking to this is, you take a confirmation in the SA 580 letter whether there are any red flagged accounts. In fact, even the LFR requires you to confirm this. There is a specific question for this. So if the red flagged account, it does not get removed, that is, the early warning signals do not go away during the 6 months, the RBI says this has to be declared as a fraud. Either remove it or declare it as a fraud. So obtain that copy from the bank branch. If they say no, then based on your early warning signals, those 43 this thing, either you say that this has EWS and possibly a fraud, or else go confirm this in the LFR. So this is the para in the LFR. If you see that this question is whether the branch has any red flagged account. So what I have in the pre-sign-off checklist, this is also a specific requirement of the Reserve Bank of India. Where the branch has any red flagged account, here it's only talking of 50 crores and above. And if yes, whether any deviations were observed related to the compliance of bank's policy related to RFA. So there's a specific confirmation you have to give. This is relating to frauds, again the LFAR part. So frauds detected, classified, but confirmation reporting to RBI not available. And when suspected likely fraud, so if there are too many EWS, this becomes a suspected likely fraud. Now, the main thing is why I have increased the font size is the third part which the LFAR wants us to confirm. Whether the system of early warning framework is working effectively. This is a specific confirmation you will give in the LFAR. And as required, the early warning signals form the basis of classifying the account as an RFA. It's specifically asking for this. So when you're doing the advances, if you're not checking this 43 early warning signals, that means you'll not be able to answer this correctly. Right? So please ensure that this early warning framework, to ensure that I'll be able to tell it, at least to the extent I've done the transaction audit and the process audit based on the selection criteria which is there in the LFR, I need to check the EWS. Now these are different methods of perpetration of frauds. I think you can have a look. Falsification of borrowers, false representation by the borrower, misappropriation of funds through related party shell companies. So this is something, as a branch auditor, it's very difficult to find out because we spend only around 5 to 6 days. But the problem, this is something which probably the branch management will be able to identify in a quicker way because they're there 24/7. I leave this with you. So these are, various methods which are there in the RBI. These are not some things which I have put, but these are part of the RBI master direction on frauds. There is another central fraud registry. I don't know whether you use it or not. Now this is again a question of the LFR also, but you also as a branch auditor need to do it. You are not allowed to directly log into the portal. As a branch auditor I cannot, but you'll have to ask either the branch manager or the regional office which is there. I need to ensure whether the branch has used the central fraud registry in whenever they've granted new facilities or reviewed or renewed that. And for this, what I can do is I can do a sample, and whenever I do a sample check and on the CFR portal I find that this is not a fraud account, I take a screenshot and document that. The main thing is you need to document as per SA 230 whatever you do. And the best is, you take a screenshot, take a printout, keep it in your laptop, embed it in the Excel file. That's also fine in the checklist. But then, after 2 years, I should be able to prove that I have sufficient appropriate evidence. Also, I am able to prove that who did what, when, and how. If I'm not able to do that, the biggest problem is, in spite of doing a wonderful job, all of us do wonderful jobs, but we do not have proof that we did so wonderfully well. Earlier, I think, we used to waste a lot of time when it came to security valuation, asking the branch manager to give us the title deeds, to see the valuation report, etc., ensure that, it is in the name of the borrower or not. Now, of course, you have the CERSAI portal, which is there both for the movable and the immovable property. So I need to at least, in respect of the material NPAs, log into the CERSAI portal and ensure that it is in the name of the borrower. So title clear hai nahi hai, that I can ensure by logging into the portal. Again, large accounts, take a screenshot, document that. Or if the screenshot, some portals do not allow screenshots. In that case, in your Excel file, write down that, these are the accounts where I check the CERSAI portal along with Mr. X branch officer. But again, I'll at the cost of repeating, document everything you do. See, this is the corresponding part in the LFR. It says, whether there is substantial deterioration in the value of security during the financial year as per the latest valuation report. So in case there is, if, you'll read in the IRAC norms, if the deterioration is more than 50%, I need to directly accelerate the IRAC norms from a standard to a doubtful account, or if it is more than 90%, then a loss account. This is only for information, but since, it is there, this is something in case one of you is doing an account which, where you have an account of 100 crores and above, this is a specific requirement of the RBI that, the account has to be in the legal entity identifier registered as that in case it is not there. So, but then this is specific to very large branches only. Friends, this is another important, very, very important thing as part of the planning. There are, I think, system control issues because we've been asked to comment on that also in the LFR. If you go to any bank, actually the identification of NPA happens because the Ministry of Finance asked for it by the system only, the Finacle or whichever they are using. And it happens at the day end because last year there was a change. But when it comes, so the identification of NPA is there, but then when it comes to provision, you would find that they would give you a separate statement, right? So there is a separate statement which is, has around every advance would have probably, 40 to 60, 70 different fields with respect to date of stock statement, date of last credit, date of last interest debited, etc., everything. Valuation report, stock statement, last received on, etc. So this in different banks is named differently. Some name it CCIS, ASCROM, Trade Finance, I don't know what. It is by, in SBI, what was it called, CCIS? CCIS. So this is, what I'm trying to say is that, see, when it comes to Finacle, the controls are fine. The CCIS draws its data from the Finacle, imports it here, and then it becomes an independent document. So these are not integrated documents, right? So although there are audit trails in some banks, but some banks do not have that audit trail. So I can, if I require, I can change the date of the NPA. I can change probably, once I change the date of NPA, automatically the provision changes. I can repeat the collateral security which is there across limits. See, unfortunately, the CCIS, when you go and actually have a look at it, you'll find that, you'll initially find all cash credit accounts, then you'll find housing loans, then you'll find term loans, then you'll find bills purchased, foreign bills purchased. So if I'm talking of, let us say XYZ and company, so XYZ and company, the CC account will be at one place, the term loan will be at third place, and probably the bills purchased somewhere. So there, if I have one property as collateral security, there is no restriction of getting the same security repeated. But what I need to do is, as per the RBI, consolidate all the levels, map it to the security of the consolidated, unsecured I have to provide for. But if I repeat, because see, the security is manually entered. I go again, even in Finacle, the control weakness is when I get a stock statement, I enter it manually. It is not uploaded through a system, unless some banks start doing it. So this is something you have to look at it with lot of apprehension. You need to probably do some manual checks also. I would suggest that, import it into Excel and do your data analysis of the CCIs if possible.
But sir, I think they have changed it now. Now it is borrower. It is CIF number wise.
Okay, CCIs.
It is changed.
Okay, but the security can still be repeated. Security can still be repeated. That is, so if that's there, it's fine. So probably I'll have, customer ID, the same customer ID, I'll have all of them at the one place. But the issue is, when it comes to, placing the security, I have to map it to that. So this thing is, because there are some manual interventions which can be made, it loses its control. So you need to be very careful when you're checking this, because this is the most important part, not exactly the most important part, it is an important part. I do not agree with, general this thing that, it is, if advance is done, the bank is done, the branch is done. No. I think there are many places which are very, very risky nowadays after, controls having come in, which are riskier. So please ensure data integrity, etc. in these returns which you are doing. Do not sign it off without having a look at it. Do some checks, even, in fact, map it to the old CCIS. Maybe, the date of NPA can change, or wherever, whatever data integrity you can do, please do that and ensure there are no weaknesses there. Exception reports, how many of you actually check? Okay. In the concurrent auditor or branch? I think that's a very, very important part, because exception report, please do it not only for the branch. In fact, I think even the branch managers, not many are actually doing what the their head office is asking them to do. The branch managers are actually required to take a printout even today and sign that exception report and ensure that, all compliance has been made. So what I would suggest is, exception report as of the 31st of March 2024 is a must. Also review exception reports for a few days earlier and just try and see whether there are some accounts which are coming into exception reports regularly. If it is, then obviously it's an indication that, it is a stressed account, or accounts where there are some adjustments which are being made. So these are the corresponding LFAR questions which are there in the, with respect to the exception report. Now, the first question is exactly what I was talking of about the CCS. Now, this question says whether there are any software systems used at the branch which are not integrated with the CBS. I'm not sure, only if I import the data from Finacle into CCIS, is it integration? If I'm doing a processing of CCIS separately, like, ensuring that the provision is at 15 50%, the security gets deducted, etc. Is it integrated? No. As long as I have one software which does everything, I have security there, I have provision there, everything. But as of now, at least in the public sector banks, you do not have the provision being generated from the Finacle, etc. In fact, I think, some banks did talk to Infosys and other this thing, but probably the cost of doing that was much more, so they are still continuing with the surround software. In fact, it is not only this. Even the financial statements which come out do not come out of Finacle. They have a surround software for that, which again picks up data from Finacle and then takes it there. Of course, if there are any IS audit, you can have a look at it. And then again, the last question, again here I need to confirm what I asked you, whether the branch is generating and verifying the exception report. So, our pre-sign-off gets mapped with what the Reserve Bank wants you to answer. Here again, system warrants expeditious compliance of daily exception reports. So, these are all confirmations which I need to make. This we could have discussed earlier, but I think all of you would be aware, the RBI Master Circular of 1st April 23 talks of this SMA 01, SMA 0 and SMA 2. Basically, it talks of accounts which are due for 0 to 30 days, and it automatically gets categorized in SMA 0, and 30 to 60 in 1, and 31 to 90, less than 90, SMA 2. So what I need to do is I need to ensure that I take the copy of the CRILC report and which they are reporting to the Reserve Bank, and confirm that there are not too many accounts which hop in and hop out of probably SMA 2 accounts. If there are a sample of 10 accounts which are continuously going into SMA 2 and coming back to SMA 01, then automatically I should put them into the stressed account category and then have a deeper look into this to ensure that they are not potentially an NPA. So this is, the corresponding question which is there in the LFR. I have only mapped it to the LFR. What I am asking you to do is just to, confirm that, since you're doing it here, because I'm not, generally when I go across branches, I find that, audit reports, whether it is a tax audit report, whether it is a company audit report or a bank branch audit report or an LFR, it is always done on the last day of the bank audit. Whereas an audit report should be the first thing I take up. This is what I'm required to sign. So if I'm doing a company audit, I should first check what is, because my entire audit program should revolve around what I'm required to report. So LFR similarly becomes a checklist, also my audit report here. Another planning tip which we follow, of course, I think I've noticed that you have a speaker who will give you all the data analysis tips and how to do an audit through this thing. But this is something we've been doing. The day we received the appointment, we talk to the branch person concerned, take a few files, ask him to mail it. Generally, all branches have been doing it, without any issue about data security, etc. And then we analyze it and make lead sheets, data analysis, year-on-year comparisons, variance of the branch audit, the balance sheet and the profit loss ledger. And also, we are able to get a feel of which are the accounts in CC accounts, how many of them are there, all analysis which you would probably require at least one day when you're in the branch. Email IDs, I think, I've already referred to. I think, this balance confirmation, please try and do it this year and try and see what is the response. You may not get a response. I've got responses from some, but then, I am able to document that I sent out balance confirmations to the parties. GLBs for the current data and previous year data will give you the data analysis of balance sheet and year-on-year analysis, so that, your audit checks you can concentrate on a few things. A very, basic kind of audit planning technique. What do you carry when you go to a branch? I think this may help you. The previous year audit file, if you're doing the same bank, the bank's closing circular in soft, RBI master circular, please have them with you. The master circular, the press releases, the FAQs, CBS codes, transactional codes. I think, these are very important, because there will be many team members who are not aware of the transactional codes. So take a list of the transactional codes with details as to how to actually, go through the entire step. And this is very important, this thing. Of course, the audit program which you would have compiled, or else the LFAR can be your audit checklist. Or copies, at least soft copies of all the, in fact, the guidance note on bank audit 2024 has a list of all the RBI circulars, etc., with hyperlinks. So keep that in the Excel file. Since you have hyperlink, you can connect to the RBI circular immediately. And of course, do not forget to take the digital signatures. Friends, when you're signing the audit report, I think, many members across branches have told me that, there are restrictions on the space within which you can write. They do not allow you to qualify more than, let's say, 250 words. If that be the case, for me, this becomes a constraint on my audit independence also. So what I think I would suggest is, in that case, issue an audit report as per SA 700, 705, 706, send it to the central auditor, send it to the appointing authority, and here refer that, a separate report has been issued in hard. But do not restrict yourself to the number of words which the branch is asking you to do it. Do not do that at all. So, these are reading guidance which all of you, like I said, those 400 hours you'll need to spend on all of this. Quick look, which is the mother of bank branch audit, is 1st April 23, the IRAC norms. I think it only has around 80 pages, but if you read that, I think, broadly your advances part, based on which your fees is given, gets covered. And these are other important circulars which I would recommend to you, other than this, the IRAC norms, the guarantees co-acceptances. I think generally, the off-balance sheet items, generally we do not lay importance on, but if you actually see the value in a balance sheet, the off-balance sheet items on the asset and the liability side would turn out to be the largest. And if you actually dig deep into those guarantees, co-acceptances, LCs, BGs, etc., you'll find that, there are number of probably LCs and BGs which have already expired and which probably require to be knocked off out of this thing. Now, actually, if you are knocking off the bank guarantees and the LCs, this is one MOC, in spite of being probably 50 crores in value. Even the bank would be happy that you are issuing that MOC, primarily because if the branch has forgotten to knock off this thing, because it impacts the capital adequacy requirement. The CRAR requirement gets affected. I think Hitesh Bhai was talking of when you pass an MOC, please also remember to see the impact on the CRAR also, every time. And also when you're, differentiating between a performance and a financial guarantee, the financial guarantee is always, the commission is higher. So some branches have a tendency to classify an account as a financial guarantee in spite of being a performance guarantee. So, please ensure that, when you're checking the guarantees that, they're actually financial and not. So there, the income would be inflated and also my CRAR would also get impacted. And of course, Basel III, this is again, just like an audit report, I think CRAR is, I've seen so many members do it at the end and more of mapping it to the balance sheet instead of doing an exercise. In fact, I'm not doing the IRAC norms, I do not have the time, but that is one thing I really spend at least half an hour on, informing the members as to what exactly is to be checked in the CRAR. Because CRAR otherwise is just a mapping technique which members do. Otherwise, I'll, probably mail those checks to you. Master directions, again, they're all old, but they have all been updated. So please ensure you do this. Most important is the second one, the master direction on frauds, and also lending to MSME sector. Friends, these are 3 important FAQs which I'll recommend to you to download and keep it with you when you go to a branch. On MSME, the priority sector lending, and of course UDIN is already there, but at least MSME and priority sector. Why priority sector lending is, because when you're doing agriculture loans, a lot of people get confused between, priority sector hai, so this should be agriculture also. They give the delinquency norms, not the 90 days, the relaxed delinquency norms are given, which is again not correct. So anything, of course planning can be much more, but how much time do I have? Half an hour? 20? Okay, I'm just in the execution part, so I'll do that. So this was about the planning part. Now we come to the execution part. Now since there is a skill gap between the banks and the auditors, which banks have been harping on, I think I would recommend that let's try and use AI for bank branch audits. I tried using it. I'll try, of course, you can't import data and do it, but you can do it to this extent at least. You have large guidance note, which is 700, 800 pages. I do not expect you to read that. You have so many master directions in PDF, which are again, voluminous. How do I actually, interact with that? Go to chatbtf.com. I think you can use that. The only issue is you'll have to spend a small amount. If you want to, interact with the guidance note on bank audit, the chat PDF, it allows only 2 PDFs per day, and it will not allow, a document which is 600 pages. So that small amount of, I think, 2,000 rupees or something, if you take a higher end of chat PDF, you'll be able to interact with everything. All PDF documents, so the entire set of regulations, circulars, master directions, guidance note, throw a question, get the answer, at least, do a good job and then document that. Google Bard, I think it's absolutely free, all your questions. See, I'll tell you, when you're doing a company audit, Google Bard will help you much more. Unfortunately, Google Bard has not been questioned too much on bank audits. It doesn't answer too well. It's a learning exercise which it is doing. And then if you have lectures, you can do this u.tdr, where you can get a script of all the entire webinar or a YouTube this thing of 3 hours into printed this thing, and then check this. have a look at what are the questions I asked, and I was able to get satisfactory answers to Chat PDF and Google Bard. These are 5 examples. I asked it specifically in a CC account. The only credit during the past 90 days was a contra entry, whether NPA. See, this is a typical method of bank branch managers to pass contra entry to avoid the account being classified as an NPA. Now, it did say that, this is the contra entry should be ignored and this could be a potential NPA. It drafted an audit checklist for me for bank branch auditors for CRIL compliance. And, I'm not saying that it just drafted, it was pretty satisfactory, that's why I'm giving it to you. I asked a question, last credit in a CC account was 1st January. I specifically asked it on 1st January because this is a leap year. This is a leap year this year, so 1st January is beyond 90 days. Whether an account is NPA, it said yes. Draft an audit checklist for CFR, checklist for CERSAI portal. So, whatever doubt, before asking Hitesh Bhai or me, you can ask Chat PDF or this thing. I think, it's a wonderful thing. Use it for this thing. Even Google Bard will do it, but then PDF will be better because you'll have reference. It gives you the page numbers also. And it'll give you the page number. So obviously, this I think we've already referred to. What are the key risks in advances, surround application, data integrity? I think we've already, but last bullet, I think, please remember, wherever you're going, borrower in the news becomes very important for us to identify which are the accounts which could probably be in stress. Another important check. We issue 3 kinds of report, the IFC, the LFAR, and the SA700. And if I'm not integrating, I do not ensure that there are no differences between that, there should be no case of those 3 reports not being synchronized. If I'm reporting in my IFC report that, there are control weaknesses, I should also have this in the LFAR. I should also have a reference in the main SA700, and vice versa also. If I'm reporting something in SA700, the corresponding report should also be there in the LFAR and also in the IFCO FR if I am required to. So please, before signing, before generating the UDIN, ensure that all my reports are synchronized. And of course, oft repeated guidance for all the bank branch auditors, do not hide your NPAs in your LFARs. I think every speaker tells you that. I also want to tell you that. Do not do it. That is, something like, knocking yourself out yourself because you are accepting that you've made a mistake. I've documented that in my LFAR, but not actually passed an MOC. I mean, it's a clear-cut case of, I'll never be able to protect myself if ever I'm required to do. These are RBI identified reasons for direct divergence evergreening. This is there in this thing. I'll leave these. Round tripping of funds is very, very difficult. So, these are there in the circular. I'll leave it with you. But if you actually see, there are some, these are based on techniques which the RBI has found and given in their inspection reports. So, it can be of help to us as to how do I actually identify potential NPAs. Enhancing fund-based limits repeatedly without assessment. Change of DP multiple times in a month. So this is another control weakness which I talked of. Whenever I have to enter a DP, I can, based on the stock statement, I will enter it manually. It does not get uploaded and it does not speak of the quality of the stock which is actually available. converting non-fund into fund-based limit without justification, sanction of ad hoc limits to regularize the limit. This is a clear-cut case of evergreening. And if there are intra-group company transfers, like, related parties may, if there are transfers, if there is no business, obviously it will be only to either diversion of funds or evergreening. What could be the early warning signals? Stock audit report, please read them, document them. This is also part of the SA 700. And other minor in the EWS. Of course, those 43 early warning signals which are there in the master direction on frauds, that you can have a look. This is something I wanted to check on, because I think generally if you go to a bank, the branch would continuously enhance, review or renew the account over a period of 1 year. So, when you go into this IRAC norm requirement that if the account has not been reviewed or renewed in the last 180 days, it has to be classified as a NPA. Branches, what they do is they say that, I have short reviewed it, I have quick reviewed it, and then they leave it at that, and they say that since I have quick reviewed, it is not an NPA. Friends, as a rule, as a thumb rule, the last date of full review, suppose my review was due on 31st March 24, 180 days from, or 31st March 23, 180 days from that is the maximum time bucket within which they should be able to do any kind of ad hoc review, ad hoc quick review, or whatever they call it. The maximum time is always twice. So 90 days each. But what do the banks do? So 31st March of 23, they'll do a quick review. This goes on up to 30th June 23. Give another 179 days, right? 30th June 23, they will wait up to 31st December 23, do again a quick review, ensure it is quick reviewed up to 31st March 24. It is absolutely wrong, because the total days which is allowed is 180 days from the date of the last review. So you cannot wait another 180 days. So pass an MOC whenever there is any kind of quick review or short review done by the branch. I think there are clarifications which have been given even by the banks themselves to the managers, but the managers, because this is something which is not there based on performance, banks generally do these quick reviews to avoid classification as a NPA. Just one slide of what is the difference between a resolution and a restructuring. Wherever, they would call an account is, the thumb rule is if it has been restructured, now all accounts which are restructured have to be downgraded to an NPA. I mean, there is no exception except with respect to natural calamities or to DCCO. Other than that, there are no exceptions where you do not, you have to downgrade. The difference is where the terms of repayment, the rate of interest has been reduced, or the loans has been converted into equity. I have given any benefit to the borrower which I would not otherwise give, is a restructuring. And resolution is only where I am helping them out to go through the financial difficulties. So this is one major difference which you need to, but remember, any benefit which I give to the borrower, which I otherwise would not give, would fall into the bracket of restructuring. And restructuring would mean that, you downgrade that account. You can close your eyes and pass an MOC for restructuring account, except for natural calamities, DCCO. Agriculture advances, whoever takes it up, I have just put this one slide to tell you that, there are a whole lot of confusions. in agriculture advances, the only reason for confusions in the agriculture advances, the Reserve Bank or the NABARD has never come up with a table which says that this is the date of sanction, this is the date of NPA. The SBC of every state gives you a different picture. But for me, the Reserve Bank regulation will always remain. It simply says 2 years plus 2 crop seasons or 1 crop season, that's all. But if you actually see, with due respect, even the guidance note on 2024, it talks of 3 years from the date of drawal. But as per my understanding, the Reserve Bank does not say that. It does not say from the date of drawal. Anyway, so, there's a lot of confusion. So, if you are going to a branch which has agriculture loans, please ensure your understanding of agriculture loans is very good. Otherwise, you'll go through the entire process of doing agriculture loans without actually being able to identify them as NPA, because the bank manager would explain to you various things which you probably, would get lost in that confusion of harvesting, cropping, short duration, multi-crop, etc., etc. What is one check which you can do for smart execution in the agriculture advances? Because generally the number of accounts in agriculture advances is huge. A simple check can be that, identify all accounts where the balance outstanding is either double or more than the sanction limit. We did this and, it's a straightforward case. Also, you can do a review of accounts where the balance outstanding is more than 50% of the sanction limit. In spite of application of interest on agriculture loans and 3 years having passed and natural. So the only exception is natural calamity. So one has to be careful. If there's been a drought, flood, etc., there could be definitely a case of, the account getting the outstanding going beyond 50%. Of course, this, one needs to be very careful about, because now, you have to check all the advances. You need to document all the accounts where you're doing a transaction audit. And also, of course, you have to document it in the file, but also document it internally where you're doing a process audit. Just 2 more slides. This is another thing which I'm not sure you have reverse mortgage loans here, but in South India there are reverse mortgage loans where you have a property, you can take in your old age, you can take a reverse mortgage loan, not pay it for your entire lifetime, both your husband and wife, and then only the next of kin pays. So these are popular advances which happen in the south of India. Now here, the only thing which I want to clarify is, in case you do it, there is no due date which is there in reverse mortgage loans. Hence, it can never be classified as an NPA. But one case which I got from Chennai last year was, there was a property of 2 crores which he gave, the reverse mortgage loan was there. Post-COVID, the value of property came down to 1 CR. He said, sir, what do I do? NABARD, everywhere, even the terms of the banks, they say you cannot, because there's no due date. If there's no due date, cannot be classified as NPA. So the only option is, what you do is, wherever it is beyond the value of the property, you provide for it at 100%. Obviously, it's an unsecured thing. And rest of it, go by, do not classify it as NPA, but go by the general compliance with NABARD and NHB, and also the bank. In balance sheet and profit loss, 3 heads which you need to be very careful about. Advances you already do very well. Contra items and other assets are 2 heads I think all of us do not lay importance on. And let me tell you that, these are two heads where, in fact, contra items, like I said, are the heads which, you can do a lot. Other assets and other liabilities on the liability side are the only two heads where the bank manager is able to park everything he wants to. He can do anything. He wants to, evergreen an account, he'll park something in the other assets. So be very careful about other assets and the contra items, and on the liability side, the contra items of balance sheet item and also the other liabilities. So other assets, other liabilities, contra items here, and of course borrowings, time deposits, demand deposits, interbranch, these are heads which generally would not involve too much of. So that was about all, friends. Thanks a lot, but I would still wait for your questions, and in case I'm leaving my number and my mobile ID here, so in case you have any query during the course of your bank branch audit, please feel free to talk to me. I'll be more than willing to help you out in this thing. Thanks a lot for a patience hearing, and thanks a lot again for the invitation. Thank you.
So if anyone has a question, obviously if you can pass on the mic.
In fact, it's not necessary, it has to be out of that. Anything relating to bank branch audit, we can take up. I think I'll.
Seems that there is no question, sir. There is no doubt. Sir, the book, Eat That Frog, it gives me a remembrance of what you have deliberated today. Because in that book, it says that you should plan your day first before starting it. And you need to, prioritize your task. The same what you have said today. You have said that you have to plan, you have to execute, and for signing off, we need to plan. So thank you very much, sir, for your vital experience, sharing it with all of us. And friends, we are also thankful to our chairman of the branch, CA Sunil Sanghvi, sir, who lost his mother last week, but he is here. He is helping all the fraternity members, serving it. Sir, we are thankful to you from bottom of our heart. And lastly, to our past vice chairman of Ahmedabad branch as well. Sir, though you are not, Hitesh bhai, you are not going to contest for the election, but please give us... Sir, but we want to, contest. That's why I am saying that please give us a tips how to, be there. Thank you very much for showering and giving us all the blessings in such a bank branch audit seminars for organizing. Because when I was chairman, I remember that how much pain you took for organizing and bringing all the faculties. So once again, thank you very much all. We will be quickly starting second session. Thanks.